You look at Tiffany, there are some allegations that were made that's since been dropped. You feel comfortable, you're gonna be able to go to a studio and say, look, we're gonna do this movie. I need the original cast.
I do. Girls Trip 2, I can't make it without her.
Come
on.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Club Shay Shay. I am your host, Shannon Sharpe. I'm also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay, and the guy that's stopping by today is one of Hollywood blockbuster hit makers. He's grossed over $1 billion worldwide. 10 of his films have debuted at #1 at the box office. Executive producer, entrepreneur, Hollywood record-breaking filmmaker, Will Packer.
My guy.
Will, how you
man.
doing?
I'm in the club. What you
Bad.
talking about? I need to talk to you about your security. Had to show my ID like twice.
Yeah,
I'm over there. I'm like, hey man, but I know Shannon. They said everybody knows Shannon.
Yeah, but you can never be too cautious. You know,
I see.
It's getting crazy after dark out here now.
Tough to get in here in Club Shay Shay.
We got similar roots. You live in the A. I still have a home in the A.
Yeah.
How's the A been?
HBCU, grad.
HBCU fam.
Come on,
You
stop
fam
about
you?
it. Fam you.
Fam,
You already
Savannah
know.
State?
Absolutely.
How's they treating you?
I like it, man. I shoot probably half of my stuff in Atlanta and
Okay.
the other half literally around the world.
Right.
So I shoot in Atlanta every chance I get. I was a part of the group that actually lobbied to get the tax credit there.
Correct.
A lot of people don't know that's why so much production is happening in Atlanta.
It's going crazy.
Georgia's crazy. Georgia is #1.
Yeah, we don't pass Cali. They don't pass Cali.
for on location filming. It
Yeah.
passed Cali and New York.
Wow.
Meaning, like, if you're shooting out in the world. Now,
Right.
LA still got the stages, right?
Right.
So more people shooting stages in LA, New York. But in terms of being out in the world,
Right.
it's Georgia.
Right.
So, like myself and Tyler
Perry,
Perry
yeah.
and Turner, we all were part of a group to lobby to get the tax credit, and it has gone crazy. So I love it, man.
What made you decide to come to LA? You're go to Atlanta.
Atlanta.
You're a Florida guy, born in Florida.
Yes.
What made you decide to say, you know what? I'm gonna set up roots in Atlanta.
Because I was graduating from FAMU, right?
Okay.
Me and my partner at the time, a guy named Rob Hardy, had made our first little movie. It was called Chocolate City.
Okay.
It was a movie about Black college life.
Okay.
And we said, okay, we got this little movie.
Right.
We had an audience that cared about it at our school.
Right.
Hollywood didn't care.
Right.
Okay. People watching this, don't think you're just gonna make a movie and all of a sudden, the chairman of Paramount and Universal gonna be calling you. It don't work like that.
Right.
You gotta hustle your way into the game.
Right.
So we had this movie and we said, you know what? We can move to New York. We can move to LA. We're gonna be another fish in a big pond.
Right.
Or we looked at Atlanta. The music industry was popping when we came in. This is back when you're talking about LaFace Records and Rowdy Records and So Def.
Yeah.
Organized Noise. All that was really starting. The Atlanta scene was really starting to burst. And so we moved to Atlanta thinking, you know what? While we're trying to get our film hustle on, we'll shoot music video.
Right.
And we'll have like a symbiotic relationship with the music industry.
Okay.
We couldn't get one music video, bro. We couldn't get nobody hired because everybody knew each other. We were the new guys.
Right.
So we were kind of not in the clique,
In the
so
loop,
to speak.
yeah.
But you know what that did for us? It forced us to independently shoot our own stuff.
Right.
And so we moved to Atlanta and shot our first independent movie outside of college. It was called Twa,
Right.
starring Kenya Moore. It was an erotic thriller. And it did well, man. It popped for us.
What made you decide, and I tell people all the time, I think everybody that goes to a PWI,
Yeah.
predominantly white institution, should have to spend a quarter or semester at a historically black institution to get that, to see what homecoming is like,
Yeah.
that experience,
Yeah.
to see the step shows, the
Yes.
sorority, you in the
Yes.
park, and you're in
Yes.
the student center,
Yes.
and you playing dominoes,
Yeah.
and you playing spades, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
Band playing in the background of fraternities and sororities
You-
coming through the set, stepping.
You got to feel that.
It's different.
Is that what you wanted when you shot the movie Chocolate City? Is that what you wanted to portray on film? You wanted to give people a sense of what it's like to be at a historically black institution?
100%. Because we were there. I shot it while we were still students
Okay.
at FAMU.
Okay.
We wanted to get people to feel that culture. The
Okay.
exact same thing you're talking about.
Mhm.
Because they really are. Colleges are communities.
Yes.
So imagine, especially if you're African American, the safest space, the most competitive space, and an area where you can really feel at home, challenge, love, and push to be the best you can be.
Right.
That's my experience on the HBCU campus. We wanted to showcase that. And Chocolate City, to this day, is still the first historically black, first movie shot on an HBCU campus by its students.
Right.
Right? It also was a precursor for my first #1 movie, which was Stomp the Yard.
Oh, yeah.
I made Chocolate City, then went off and made some other movies, and I always wanted to go back and set another movie at HBCU. So my first kind of big mainstream hit was Stomp the Yard, which took me back to my HBCU roots.
You majored in engineering, got a degree in engineering. How the hell do you go from engineering to shooting film?
Yeah, it's different. yeah. I asked myself
Engineering,
that.
like, I'm gonna build a bridge, I'm
Yeah.
gonna build a building, I'm
Yes.
gonna build roads.
Yes,
Nah,
bruh.
I'm gonna get behind the camera and shoot.
Bruh, I did a lot of math and science, physics, thermodynamics, and I'm sitting on set right now like, where am I using this? What was the point with all those late hours?
Exactly.
Here's the thing I'll tell you though. It actually helped me to hone my analytical mind.
Okay.
And you kind of can't overstate how important that is, even in a creative industry.
Right.
I think that it gives me a leg up on my peers, the fact that I use my analytical skill set that I got from that engineering degree. Now, I ended up majoring in engineering because I got a scholarship. Coming out of high school, I was strong in math and science.
Right.
And there was a push to get more African Americans in the STEM program, science, technology,
Right.
engineering, mathematics. And so I got a scholarship to go there. I didn't want to go to FAMU.
You wanted to go to an Ivy League.
I was accepted into an Ivy.
Ooh!
Shannon Sharpe. I was like, listen, I got the grades.
Yes,
I
yes.
got accepted.
Okay.
I'm not going to FAMU.
And then what
Kids trying to go to FAMU was cheating off me in high school. I'm not going over here with y'all. What happened was, we had a president who was a visionary of FAMU at the time. His name was Dr. Frederick S. Humphreys. God bless him. He's passed on. But he said, I want the top black students in the country to come to this school. And you know how you do that? Money. He went out and he went to corporations and he got major scholarships, right?
Right.
He came and sat in my living room at my house like I was a D1 athlete.
Wow.
And recruited me to go to FAMU.
Right.
He said, listen, I know you want to go to Penn. I know you got accepted to Yale. I know you want to go to these other schools, but let me tell you what we do at FAMU. We're going to make you excellence. We're going to care about it. And you are going to do things that you could never do at those other schools because we're going to care about you as a person, not just a number, not just a student. I still didn't want to go. Now, here's what happened. A funny thing happened on my way to the Ivy League.
Okay.
Dr. Humphreys came and dropped a bag of cash in that living room. I don't mean literally, but with his scholarship money.
Right.
Scholarship, stipend, full room and board, everything. My parents said, oh, that's nice. Hey, what they giving you over at that old Ivy League that you want to go to? How much they give you? I said, well, you know, they're not giving me nothing, but they let me in. They said, guess where your little black self is gonna go to college? Best decision that was ever made for me. And it really is about that cycle of excellence. You know, here you had somebody that said, listen, we can do as well as anybody else and we can get the top students in the country. And I happened to be one of those students at the time,
Right.
got recruited to go there and did it because we did have that financial incentive, and I didn't have that elsewhere.
Right.
My parents said, listen, you can go to an Ivy later and get your MBA if you want, but this is where you're going to start off.
Right.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me, man.
What is it about historically black institutions? It's like homecoming is a big, giant cookout with like 5,000, 10,000 of your closest friends.
Yep.
But there's the sense, as you mentioned, the sense of community.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, you're standing out, everybody is suited and booted. Because
Yeah.
I don't know how, when I would go to my brother, he was at the University of South Carolina, and I'm seeing people in sweats and they like pajamas. I was like, where they do that at?
Yeah.
We suited and booted.
You're clean, baby.
We got on Lee jeans, we got on Calvin Klein, we got on Izod, we
Yes.
got on Dark Side, we to the nine.
It's a fashion show.
Yes.
Come on, man. Stop playing. You know how we do.
We had to.
Absolutely. But it's like you said, everybody needs to experience that.
Yes.
Everybody. I got a lot of friends that went to PWI. I got friends that play ball, all of that.
Yeah.
And they all say, man, I wish I'd had just a little bit of that experience.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It stays with you in a different way.
It does.
That's taking nothing away from any other school.
No,
But you know, like I know, when you go to an HBCU, that is your family for life.
Yes.
For
Yes.
life.
What is it that you think that makes Atlanta so many blacks successful, gravitate there? You mentioned yourself. You mentioned Tyler Perry.
Yep.
Steve Harvey has a home there.
Absolutely.
So many of today's Hollywood and celebrities, entertainers migrate to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Why?
Success begets success. You see other people doing it there and you go, you know what, I can do it too.
Right.
I know that's what's happening in entertainment.
Right.
You know, I know that I was there very early, Tyler was there very early. Now you have other people, you know, you name it, from you know, Ryan Coogler with Black Panther
Right.
to a lot of the big movies are shot there because people see what we've been able
Right.
to do. There's a true community there. There's an environment, not just in entertainment, but you look at politics, you look at business. It is a place where you do have a lot of high achieving African Americans that are succeeding. And then they're bringing other people along to work with them and to help. And so it becomes a network and it becomes a positive cycle.
Right.
Cycles don't always have to be negative. You talk
Right.
about cyclical things.
Right.
It can be positive as well. I
Right.
think we're seeing that in Atlanta.
I'm looking at you. Your T.I. was in your movie Takers.
Yeah.
Ludacris had a project, Dancing Through the Snow.
Yeah.
How when you getting ready to shoot a movie, do you have an idea of who you like to star in the movie, or do you how far along is the movie before you start to say, okay, I think this guy would be perfect, or I think she would be perfect?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you always know, you always have an idea who you want
Right.
in the movie, right? It doesn't
Ain't no guarantee you
always,
can get them.
huh? That's
Ain't no
correct.
guarantee you can get
It
them.
doesn't always work out like that. I was gonna say, right? I made the movie Girls Trip.
Right.
I knew for a fact Regina Hall was the absolute first person we went to.
Okay.
Love Regina,
Right.
one of my most frequent collaborators. I knew we wanted her.
Right.
Had a conversation with Latifah and Jada, and they said, man, we have not worked together in so long. We would love to work together. Now I got my 3.
Right.
We were not thinking about Tiffany Haddish for that final role.
Right.
So I went in, knew that I wanted actresses on a certain level. So I knew I wanted Regina, had a great conversation with Latifah and Jada, that worked out. Now I got to finish out that final role.
Right.
And then we went out and we cast it. She came in and killed the audition.
Right.
So it's like, being a producer is like being a project manager.
Right.
You really have to know how to put all the pieces together. That's
Okay.
my job. People
Right.
say, what does a producer do? Because people get confused. They think it's like a director. You yelling action and cut.
Right.
I always use the analogy that if you look at the Oscars,
Right.
the final award of the night is Best Picture.
Right.
Who gets Best Picture? That's the producer, right? That's after. Best director, best cinematography, best sound, best editing, all of that. The producer was responsible for hiring all those other people,
Right.
putting all the elements together, and
Okay.
ultimately the final product is what the producer's judged on.
Now that we started off with Girls Trip, we're gonna get to that later. You're thinking about doing a sequel.
Yeah, man.
Original cast or a different direction?
Now I gotta have a cast in there. I gotta take them because people love those ladies.
Yes.
They love those characters.
Yeah. Well, that was my first time seeing Tiffany Haddish. I had no idea who she was.
Really? A lot of people
and
did.
she stole the actually she stole the show. To be honest,
Yeah.
all of them were great.
Yeah.
I love Latifah.
Yeah.
Love Jada.
Yeah.
Regina Hall, she's one of my favorites. But Tiffany Haddish, it was her mannerisms and everything was just like,
She was a breakout.
Yeah.
I mean, because she was, everybody else that came in and auditioned for that role, they were playing the character that
Right.
they read on the page.
but that's her.
Tiffany
That's-
became the character.
Yeah.
She took what was on the page and took it to the next
Right.
level. Every now and then you have a actor that's just made for a role.
Right.
Kevin Hart. Kevin had been in the game for years,
Right,
right?
right.
He hadn't had that mainstream breakout success. We did our movie Think Like a Man.
Right.
And he needed just that platform. And if you see Think Like a Man, he's kind of the maestro.
Right.
He's in there, you know what I mean? All the guys are around him. He's
Right.
our narrator.
Right.
It was the perfect platform for his talent, his skill set.
Right.
Idris Elba, another one of my frequent collaborators. His first movie after The Wire was a little movie I made called The Gospel. And it was a faith-based film.
Right.
And Idris came in and played a Southern preacher.
Yeah.
And it was just the platform at that time that helped introduce them to new audiences that didn't know them, right?
Right.
So that's what it's about. As a producer, you're just trying to put the pieces together.
Right.
It's like a puzzle, man. And everything got to fit. If it doesn't, the movie doesn't work.
You look at Regina, excuse me, not Regina, but you look at Tiffany, there are some allegations that were made that's since been dropped.
Mhm.
You see the situation that happened with Jada and Will at the Oscars. We'll touch on that a little later. And Tiffany says, everything that I had is dried up.
Mm.
You feel comfortable that you're gonna be able to go to a studio and say, look, we're gonna do this movie. I need the original cast.
I do. I certainly hope so. I think that, we are in a time period where there's not a lot of nuance.
Right.
It's just black or white, and the reality
Right,
is that
right.
we live in a gray world. And I think that, she's very talented, obviously very remorseful, and has come out and apologized. And so I certainly hope so. And I certainly would advocate for her. Girls Trip 2, I can't make it without her. Come on.
Because I don't know who you can cast in that role.
It would feel very obvious that
Right.
you didn't have her.
Right.
So we'll see how these things go. But it is I always tell people, that it becomes a tricky conversation when you align the art with the artist so much and you don't have a separation between art and artist.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that you justify bad behavior. It
Right.
just means that sometimes, I'm not even talking about Tiffany, I'm talking about in general, you have to look at the art.
Right.
And you have to judge the art. And then you can also judge the artist. And sometimes one doesn't work, you know what I mean? You can't enjoy the art because you don't like the artist. That's fine.
Right.
But you do have to have a separate conversation between art and artist. So when you talk about the art, Girls Trip 2, I would definitely want those 4 ladies.
Right. Where are you on cancel culture? It seems that we're now that if somebody makes a mistake, it's unforgiving. No matter how small it is, now we done with you. You can't do this anymore. And like I said, we're gonna talk about the incident later. But I'm still gonna buy. If Will Smith does a movie, I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah.
If somebody does something, I'm gonna go see it. I'm not gonna let that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to, it's like I said, nuance, bro. Listen, you in the public eye.
Yes.
You are in media. You are every day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Microphone in your face.
Yes.
And you got a whole bunch of people waiting for you to say just one little thing wrong.
Yes.
Please, they waiting. You got the Shannon Sharpe haters.
Yes.
That's like, please say something we can jump on, right? That's the world that we live in now, unfortunately. I love what social media can be at its best, right? It's the democratization of power to the people.
Right.
Everybody has a voice. Your voice can be heard. You don't have to be a Shannon Sharpe. You don't have to be a Will Packer.
Right.
The other side of that is that you have a lot of people that weaponize it, man.
Yes.
You have a lot of people, and there's no room for a conversation other than you did wrong, you have to be canceled, you're out of here,
Right.
we don't deal with you, we're gonna do everything we can to stop you from here on out.
Right.
Well, there's no room for growth or redemption when you do that.
Okay.
There's no room for a conversation for people to learn also.
Right.
My opinion, I think intentionality matters.
Yes.
What was your intention? What is your intent? Doesn't make it right. You can still do wrong while intending positive, but we have to take that into account, in my opinion. So I think that it's a pendulum that swings. You talk about cancel culture. There's been a lot of things that, you look at African Americans in media, a lot of opportunities we haven't had that we should have had, right? However, I think that you do have a pendulum that has swung so far that you do have a group of people that say, once there's anything that we can take issue with, that's it.
Right.
That it's over for that person. And very frequently, I don't agree. Now, I work in this industry. I know a lot of these imperfect people just like you do.
Right.
And I know a lot of times their intent is strong.
Right.
In the right place. It's a process. It really is. That pendulum is swung one way, it'll swing back the other way. We just got to figure out we can all do better and be more progressive as a society, but it doesn't always mean that we throw out every person that makes a mistake.
Right. I'm looking at comedians because I think it's getting harder and harder for them to do their job.
Yeah.
Now, we know there's certain things that, like Eddie Murphy, I don't know if Eddie could have. In today's time, jokes that he told on Delirious and Raw, Bernie Mac, Robert Harris. That
it's a different time.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
How do they walk this fine line? Because what they do, they take actual, true things that have happened and they make them funny.
Yeah.
I watched Dave Chappelle's monologue on Saturday Night Live. It was the greatest monologue.
Yeah.
The way he wove and talked. Hey, he's like, they're I mean, it's full of landmines.
Yes.
And he's stepping over every last one.
Yes, so deft. Just stepping, absolutely. Didn't get him one time.
Not one time.
It matters how you say it. Because he said some of the same types of things that others have said, but the way that he said it, he is an expert storyteller.
Yes.
And that's the answer to your question. Comedians, right? And I've had this conversation with Kevin Hart. I've had this conversation with Rock. It matters how you deliver it and how you say it. You can say a lot of stuff, right? But the way that you say it matters. Even if you look at the other side, somebody like a Donald Trump, right? I don't care where your politics are. He's not a comedian. He has said some things that 90% of the people could not say.
Right.
But the way he says it in a charismatic way, which speaks to a certain segment of the population, allows him to get away with it. That is the reality.
Right.
So when people say, well, you just can't be a comedian these days, I disagree. I think you have to work very hard to—
It's getting harder, though.
You have to be careful. You have to be really good. But what does that mean, Shannon? Does that mean that the bar is higher? Because the best— you got
to get better.
The cream will rise to the top.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's not like Chappelle hadn't gotten in a bunch of trouble with a certain, group of people, for sure.
He has.
But I also think it's the way that you say it, and there's a deftness and DEFT to the way that he handles controversial subjects and situations, and he's a master storyteller.
Right.
You know?
Is
So-
it because it's sometimes that when you can make something funny and it takes the edge off of it.
For sure.
Because people are laughing. People like, oh,
Yeah.
but he kind of saying some of the same things that got the other guys in trouble. You
Right.
you do realize that he's saying this,
Yes.
right?
But the way he said it, it didn't feel like he was talking down to someone.
And the thing is, he pulled out a note
Yeah.
and he apologized.
He apologized up front.
off the rip. He
He said, Kanye, that's how you buy some time. That's all you had to do.
Buy some time. You mentioned your politics. You're a very political person. Obviously, you care. We should. We're citizens.
Yes.
And people think. I think sometimes people think, if you're famous, you're an athlete, that you're unaffected, you're unimpacted by what's transpired. I care.
Well,
I care about the economy. I
Yeah.
care about inflation.
Yeah.
I care about the hunger and things of the homelessness.
Yes.
I care about those things.
yes. Yes.
Having money doesn't exempt you from world problems.
At all.
Maybe give you a better avenue to be able to deal with those, but it doesn't exempt you.
Right.
You're a big Stacey Abrams proponent. Are you
Yes.
surprised? I mean, the last time she ran, she lost by 80,000 votes. This time it wasn't even close. Are you surprised that it was such a blowout this time around?
I wasn't, because I think it just speaks to where Georgia is right now.
Yeah.
I think that there was, first of all, Stacey's incredible.
Yes.
She ran an incredible campaign the
Right.
first time. And a lot of people thought, because in 2020 and then 2021, when we had the Senate runoffs, we got two Democratic senators, a
Right.
black man and a Jewish man.
Correct.
Right? In
Yeah.
the state of Georgia.
Yes.
But what people don't really understand is that it was a very unique confluence of events that allowed that to happen. Okay, you were coming off 2020, where you had Georgia Republicans and Republicans nationwide that just said, I'm not going to vote for Trump.
Right.
Okay, you said you had people that literally voted all the way down the ticket and did not vote for him. They
Correct.
said, I'm tired of the
Right.
last 4 years.
And normally,
Too
for the
much.
most part, you vote down ballot from
That
top
is
to
correct.
bottom.
That is correct. You had a lot of people that did not vote there. Then in that runoff, you had him and a lot of other people saying, well, the election is rigged.
Right.
It's fraud everywhere. So you had a lot of Republicans that stayed
They
home.
stayed home.
They did not come. And Ossoff and Warnock benefited from that, because those of us that work very hard to energize the Democratic base, we got our folks out, right? This time around, there was a big push amongst Republicans. You see that every midterm, the party that's not in power usually comes out and comes strong.
Right.
And so in Georgia, ultimately, you still do have a lot more Republican registered voters.
Mhm.
And so their base is bigger than the Democratic base there. Stacey was up against that. Now, it speaks to, when you look at Senator Warnock, it speaks to the fact that he was up against a very flawed candidate, because just about every other statewide race in Georgia, the Republicans won.
Correct.
But that one, they couldn't get it there.
Right.
You had a lot of people that said, I can't do that.
Right.
I can't hold my nose and punch that Walker ticket.
Right. So what? Now, obviously, we're gonna have a runoff. I think it's December 6th.
It is.
Between Senator Warnock and Herschel Walker.
Yep.
And look, I don't have anything. I don't want to come out here and speak bad about Herschel, but I think what is, for me, my problem is that he's allowed them to make him a caricature of the worst stereotype that's been portrayed on us
Right.
for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
The way he's taught, to hear him talk
Yeah.
about certain things. And
Yeah.
I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
Serious? I'm like, people, seriously?
Yeah. Here's the challenge, and I'm saying this to you, black man to black man,
Yeah.
successful black man to successful black man, high profile media black man to somebody that also works in media, right? Here's the challenge, Shannon. It hurts us to see a black man in that position. Now, if Herschel Walker was doing almost anything else, selling cars or hosting a late night show, anything, right? I wouldn't have any issues, and I would have a problem with people, making fun or demonizing or characterizing him
Right.
in a negative way.
Right.
But you're talking about running for one of the most powerful positions in the country.
Yes.
It has to matter.
Yes.
And we know for a fact that you've got people on the other side that said, we're going to prop up somebody that is unqualified.
Qualified.
We are very intentionally going to put somebody in a position who does not have the qualifications, right? Qualifications have to matter when you're talking about the U.S. Senate, brother.
Yeah, it should.
That's what's painful. I hate the fact that we have a black man running for Senate who is so severely unqualified and is so very clear.
Right.
And he happens to be running against another black man, right? happens to be a pastor, and you have a lot of evangelicals in the South, in Georgia, that are like, well, I'm gonna vote for Walker.
Right.
I'm not gonna vote for the pastor, I'm gonna vote for the other guy. That's just about you being in your own echo chamber and just following along with the political divide.
Right.
It's not about the most qualified candidate. You can't nobody of any intelligence is gonna argue that.
Correct.
Right? But it just shows where we are, and so you feel, we do, and a lot of people, like, we know they are using this brother.
Right.
He's allowing himself to be used.
But you know what? Sometimes the hardest people to see that is the person that's being used.
Oh.
It's kind of, you know, we've all seen that, man, she's using him or he's using her.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't see that, but you're on the outside. Sometimes you're so close, you don't feel or you can't sense what's actually going on.
That's
we're
the
looking
sad
at this
part, man.
and we're watching all the voters tie themselves up in pretzels. They ask, you know, this Republican base is so against abortions. Well, Herschel played for abortions. Well, that's different. Yeah. Hold on, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I thought you'd say killing an unborn child is murder, but if he's driving the lady to the place and paying for it, what is that?
Right.
Well, it all depends on what is God. That's between him and his God. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what about the woman and her God?
Yeah. Yeah. You can justify anything when you want to. When you don't want to look at the truth, you want to justify it, you can.
Right.
You know, and that's what's happening there. And by the way, you said it. If you think he is going to these rallies and looking at these people and thinking, I'm qualified, I got a chance to win, I might win, I should win, right? That's how he's thinking of it. He's not looking at it as there is a structure that is using you, right, to try to undermine something that's happening with another political party. Not because you are qualified or we want your ideals or we want your skill set.
Right.
No, we just need a body. We need somebody that's popular. And you know, like I know, in Georgia, God football family, and that order switches depending on the day of the week, brother.
He's still
a legend.
A legend.
Absolutely. People look at him and they say some of the fondest memories I have
of Herschel
were with him running the ball, you know, taking Georgia across the end zone.
Yeah.
I will always love him. I'll always have a fondness. That's the power of sports.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
But when you blur the lines and you talk about putting somebody in a position of real power, that's where it gets disturbing. That's where we got a responsibility to do the right thing.
Were you always a big sports fan?
Yeah, man.
You played sports growing up?
I did. Play football. You know, I was the small, fast dude. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I wasn't about Shannon Sharpe this thing, but I was, you know, I played in Florida. So we played, we had some dogs.
Florida football is,
Florida football is it.
Yeah.
What you mean is, I know you're a Georgia boy, but you know, we right there with y'all.
Yeah, the South, the football is king in the South.
Football is king in the South. Yeah, I played football, baseball. I was an athlete growing up. I got a son who played college ball at Harvard, incidentally. So yeah, I got a little DNA in me.
Did you want to play professionally,
Absolutely
or did you?
I knew I didn't have that. Wasn't in the cards for me.
Okay.
That was never. I mean, you know, if it was in the cards, you know what I mean.
Right.
I would have done it. But that was definitely not in the cards. I didn't have the frame, the stature, or the athletic ability, if we're being honest. Movie things turned out okay, though.
You graduated magna cum laude. Yes, I graduated, thank you, Lottie. You know, I mean, you was trying to get a degree.
Out of there, huh?
I majored in eligibility. I didn't need to stay in for the football season. I get, hey, how much I need? 2 point? Got you. 2.75 it is. I mean, bachelor of science degree in electrical engineering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you growing up, you like, what did you want to be? What did Will Packer want to be when he was growing up?
A boss. That's the truth. I wanted to be a boss.
Okay.
I didn't know what kind. I didn't know. I wanted to be in charge.
Right. You wanted to tell somebody else what to do.
I did. I wanted to have my own company, my own business.
Right.
So my parents explained to me, well, that's entrepreneurship.
Right.
That's what you want to go after.
Okay.
But it really was this ideal of, I want to be the person that's calling the shots.
Correct.
I didn't know how. I didn't know exactly the industry or the field.
Okay.
But they said, all right, well, what you got to do is bust your ass.
Right.
You got to work hard. That was instilled in me very early.
Right.
You got to go out there. If you putting your name on it, you better be giving 110%. And so that's why ultimately I made a grades in high school, went to college, majored in engineering. Didn't want to be, that was not my dream.
Right.
But that was where, you know, I got the scholarship.
Right.
I magna cum laude, as you said, bust my ass, working very, very hard in engineering.
Right.
I still use that mindset, as I mentioned, the analytical mindset, even in making my movies today.
Right.
A lot of people think you can just, you know, decide to wake up and work hard. Nah, if you haven't been honing a work ethic, if you're not the person that's been working hard and learning how to work hard, you're not going to just all of a sudden be like, oh, I want to do
Well, you'll work hard for a couple of days or a couple of months, and then you'll turn it back off. Because working hard is in you. It has to be in you, and you have to be doing that at a very young age.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And by the way, sometimes doing it in areas that, you know, may not be your passion.
Correct.
I tell people that all the time. You'll find your passion.
Right.
But while you're in whatever you're in, bust your ass with that.
Right.
Be the best whatever you can be. When I came out of FAMU, the first movie I interned on, I was the lowest on the totem pole. Right. I was under the PAs. I was an intern in the camera department. I was the absolute best camera intern that anybody on that set had ever seen. I showed up early, I stayed late, I did everything they wanted me to do. I was around there wrangling the cables, got them right. My cables never got twisted. I did whatever I needed to do because my name was on it. Now, I looked and I said, well, I want to be the producer. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be getting coffee to this person, that person. But you got to do what you got to do, put in the time. Sometimes in this generation with the instant gratification, you have a lot of people not willing to put in that work. Right. But I'm somebody that got to where I am by learning how to grind from an early age, and it's paid off for me.
That's what I tell kids. I say, I think you should have, it's kind of like, in sports, guys do one thing now. They just play football, or they just play basketball, or they just do one thing. And I apply this to life and jobs. I say, do a lot of things because it'll tell you what you don't want to do once you get older. Because I can assure you, if you don't want to do that as a kid, you damn sure not gonna want to do it as an adult. Things are easy as a kid. I mean, I did a lot of jobs like, okay, I don't want to catch chickens. I don't want to crop tobacco. I don't want to clip onions. I don't want to pick up pecans. I don't want to load watermelon or bale hay. I don't want to do field labor. So that early on in my life, I don't want to do that. And then I started playing sports. And then I found out you can make money playing sports. Oh, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. That's how I want to get my family.
But you also were extraordinarily gifted at it.
Yes.
You found something that you like to do and that you could do really well. So a lot of people that want to be Shannon Sharpe don't have the skill set or the work ethic.
But sometimes you're good at one thing, you don't want to do it, and you deny that gift trying to go to a gift that you're not blessed with.
That is very true. That is very true. I agree. So what you got to do, find the thing that you are good at.
Okay.
Do that.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll find your passion along the way. You're absolutely right. You have people that are good at one thing and say, but I think I want to do something else. Is there a way for you to combine it? Is there a way for you to do this until you got enough resources where then you can step out and chase something else? But don't give up what you're good at. Because if you're really good at something, I believe everybody has a talent. You good at it, go for it and go hard.
How did going to an HBCU help you in your movie career?
It gave me a different perspective than a lot of my peers. Number one, it taught me who I'm making my movies for.
Okay.
When I made my first movie, Chocolate City, it was starring other kids that went to school with it. It was a nobody in that movie. We barely, knew what we were doing. We were trying to keep the shots in focus, Shannon, right?
You shot it on camcorder?
We shot it on Super 16 millimeter film. I see you get a little Savannah State shade in there, brother. I didn't have a camcorder, okay? I had some film, all right? Y'all see him over here in Club Shay Shay. I knew when I was at the line trying to get in here, Club Shay Shay was gonna take some shots at me. So I had this movie that we shot, and nobody in Hollywood could give a damn about Chocolate City, right? But guess what? We had our world premiere. We were in Lee Hall, which is our auditorium on campus. We had a formal premiere. We made everybody go out and rent tux. You know these students. They barely got money. Go to Casino and Son, rent you a tux. You know what I'm saying? Rent you a ball gown because we taking this very seriously. Now, I invited everybody, all the big dogs in Hollywood, right? I invited everybody. If you had a studio, the chairman of Fox, Universal, Paramount, so I invited all of them, okay? My mama was like, did you invite Oprah? I said, Mom, Oprah not coming. She said, you invite all them other people. Invite Oprah. I said, okay, Mom, I'm gonna invite Oprah. On the day of the premiere, I'm standing on stage getting ready to introduce my movie, and the whole front row is empty because I had saved seats for all these Hollywood people. Now, none of them RSVP'd, mind you. No, not one person had the decency to even say, I'm not coming.
I'm not gonna be able to make
They didn't let me know they got the invite, right? That front row was empty because Shannon Sharpe, what if a whole fleet of private jets had showed up at Tallahassee Regional Airport the day of my premiere? I had to be ready for them. I had saved a seat for Oprah with a +1. She could have brought Stedman or Gail. It didn't matter, right? Whole front row is empty. But guess what? Every other seat in that auditorium was packed.
Wow.
And that's when I learned I'm not making my movies for the front row. I'm making them for everybody else. That's what I learned at an HBCU. And I have been making movies for an audience and then expanding beyond that audience ever since.
Wow. Did it leave you a little like, damn, Couldn't nobody show up? They couldn't send like a gopher. They couldn't send an assistant.
Yeah.
They couldn't send anybody.
A little bit, because I thought, we had gone through all this trouble and worked hard and made this movie. Like,
Right.
Hollywood's got to care, right? No, they don't. You know what made Hollywood care? After we made that movie and we sold T-shirts, hats, soundtracks, we convinced the second run theater that was showing movies for like $1.50 after they would leave the main theaters. That was a thing back in the day.
Yeah.
We convinced them to show our movie over and over again. And for the kids in Tallahassee at FAMU, it was a big deal.
Right.
And they would go see the movie every weekend, right?
Right.
We ended up taking that. We had borrowed about 20 grand to make that movie. We ended up making about $100,000.
Wow.
As broke college students.
Right.
That's when I realized, oh, this is my Ivy League training.
Right.
This is my MBA level education and entrepreneurship right here. And I also realized that there's power in understanding your niche and who you're making your movies for.
Okay.
That's what I learned at an HBCU. I learned that I need to know my audience, make my movies for a specific audience, and by the way, make money without Hollywood. That's the only reason Hollywood started returning my calls, because I was making money without them. They'll leave you out there on your own if you're not doing nothing and making no noise.
Right.
But if you want to get Hollywood's attention, you go out there and you make money without them.
Right.
Then my phone started ringing.
How did someone from an HBCU with no connections to Hollywood,
None.
no inner workings,
Right.
like all of a sudden they started taking you serious? It was that you made movies that made money without their help. And they're like, well, hell, she making money. Let me get a little
Let me
piece
get
of
some of
this.
that. Absolutely. Hollywood is good for that. But now, let me just make it clear. It wasn't just that we started making money. We were willing to do and out-hustle other people.
Right.
So, even after that movie Chocolate City, that movie Trois that I made, right? We literally drove from city to city to city. We rented a Ford Excursion. We printed up a bunch of flyers. We would drive to a city, hand out flyers, and say, our movie is premiering this weekend in your theater in your town. We would go, I would hand out flyers at churches. I would hand out flyers at strip clubs. I would go to the radio station and say, hey, can I just get on for 30 seconds after you come out of your next commercial break, just tell people about my movie? We hustled. We drove that Ford Excursion from Birmingham to Charlotte, to Memphis, to Jacksonville, Tennessee, to Columbus, Georgia. Drove it all the way up to Chicago. I know every city I went to, 19 markets, because I drove to every single one, got a little room at a Motel 6, Super 8, wherever we could afford to stay in, and we drove city to city to city, and ultimately, we were able to make $1 million in the theaters with that movie.
Wow.
We were willing to do what others weren't. Now, today, you got YouTube, you can push a button, you can put it out there. You got to work harder. You got to figure out another way, because a lot of people can get views. But back then, we had to go to every single city. So that's how we really got put on the map.
What gave you the idea to do Stomp the Yard? You mentioned Chocolate City was the first one shot exclusively on an HBCU campus.
Yeah, by students.
And then you came with Stomp the Yard, Columbus Short, unbelievable movie, loved it.
You remember that?
I do remember it.
Come
you
on,
shot
man.
it in the AU Center?
I did, yeah. I shot it. You know where I shot most of it? Morris Brown.
Mo Brown?
Mo Brown. Mo B. Mo B was there. It was available, Unfortunately, they were going through some challenges, right? And so their campus wasn't active.
Right.
We shot Stomp the Yard right there at Morris Brown College in the AUC.
Right.
And it was inspired by I'll tell you exactly what happened. I wanted to make a movie about Black college life.
Okay.
Right? I had made our first one, Chocolate City. I went out to Hollywood and I was like, hey, I got this movie. I want to make it about fraternities and step-in and HBCUs. Then people looked at me like I was crazy, Shannon Sharpe.
They didn't know anything about fraternities or step-in.
Or HBCUs. They said, y'all going to black college. I said, y'all know y'all can go to white colleges, right? We can accept y'all now.
But they don't step.
I said, first of all, they don't do a lot of things that we do.
And y'all don't call it the Yard.
And they don't call it,
we call it the Yard.
Homecoming ain't homecoming. It's different. You know what I mean?
No.
Love to my PWI folks, but y'all don't do it like
y'all
we do.
Y'all putting raisins in the potato salad. That's why we can't do half.
Shannon over here throwing shade. Club Shay Shay. He talking about that unseasoned chicken at the PWI.
Exactly.
Nah, that was Shannon.
Straight out the pack on the grill.
Shannon Sharpe, right?
Ain't nothing marinated. Straight out the pack to the grill.
So I had to go and convince them
Yeah.
that this was not a movie about all that stuff they didn't understand.
Right.
I said, you know what? It's a dance movie.
Right.
It's a really good dance movie. We're gonna take a style of dance you've never seen before. We're gonna combine two different styles of dance and make a movie around it. That's how Stomp the Yard got greenlit. And then I made it my movie around Black college campus.
Okay.
Around Black college life, I should say.
Do you have me? I'm looking at you. Think Like a Man, Ride Along, Obsessed, Takers, No Good Deed, The Wedding. The Wedding Ringer. I mean, you know, Girls Trip.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at Think Like a Man, gross 96 million, worldwide $12 million budget. Ride Along, 150 million, $25 million budget, and you executive produced Straight Outta Compton. I mean, obviously, probably the one that. What movie do you say put Will Packer on the map?
Stop the Yard. Stop the Yard, because I went out and I pitched it to every studio and they all passed on it. And then it came out of nowhere and opened #1. And then everybody started calling me and saying, why you didn't bring us that movie? And I said, I did bring you that movie.
Right.
But you said no, you know? That's the one that made people say, oh, we have to take him serious.
Right.
Because that's what Hollywood reacts to, right? They follow the numbers. They don't care about, like,
if it make dollars, it makes
culture,
sense.
Period. It's a bottom line business. It's a bottom line business. And so once I was able to come out and I was the #1 movie in the country for two weeks in a row,
right.
And people said, who the hell is Will Packer?
Right.
What is this movie Stomp the Yard that we didn't know about? But I had an audience. I had a demographic that was going to come out. Like I said, it wasn't the front row I was making that movie for, it was everybody else.
Right.
Got people excited about it.
Right.
That's how I got on the map, to be honest with you.
The movie Think Like a Man is from the book Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Steve? And then you're like, Steve, bro, you giving all the secrets away, bro. Come on, now, damn. Something we just got to keep that amongst ourselves.
Listen, there's a saying I know you don't know about. It's the game is to be sold, not told.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve sold the game.
Yeah, man, come on, Steve.
Uncle Steve said, I'm going to sell it. Whether y'all appreciate it or not. You know, I was one of the first people to call him about that book. I called him. And this is what, like you asked about me living in Atlanta versus living in LA, right? I'm in LA a lot, working Hollywood, but Atlanta's home. It puts me in a different circle of people.
Right.
And what happened was I saw sisters in the hair salon, and they were passing around copies of Steve's book, right? And you would have people like, hey, wait, bring my copy back. I didn't get to finish. It's my turn. Hand it to me. And I saw that happening. I said, you know what? You're not seeing all the sales. They're passing this around.
Right.
So this book has a buzz and has a relevance that is hard to quantify.
Right.
You know what I mean? The publisher may not even realize that you sold one copy of the book, but 10 people read it. So I called Steve very early. I said, man, I want to turn your book into a movie. He said, it's not even a narrative. He said, I'd have never imagined it as a movie.
Right.
Then it hit bestseller. Then he went on all the morning shows. Then he went on Oprah twice. Now everybody in Hollywood started calling him. To Steve's credit, he remembered the first dude that called him about that book. And he said, you know what? Everybody calling me to turn into a movie because the book's a hit now. I'm going with Will Packer. I'm going to go with the guy who called me first and said he wanted to turn this into a movie. I said, Steve, I'm not going to let you down. I got you. And we opened #1 with that movie too, put Kevin Hart on the map in a different way. $96 million later, we did a sequel and got other stuff in the works as well.
Man.
It's that grind and that hustle, man.
But you know what? That says something. That Steve, like all these other big movie studios came in.
Yes.
And he could have easily like, you know what? But the bro man came to me early on.
Yeah, he did.
Because you didn't think it was going to do anything until all of a sudden I had peaked. See, I started going here. Now you want, when I was here, you weren't hollering at your boy.
Was calling. That's right. Right. Back then, didn't want me. But he definitely was, that's who he is. You know what I mean? There was a loyalty there. He said, I'm going to get his brother a chance. He was one of the first people to call. And then I went with his blessing. Now I was able to go get a major studio on board. We made that with Sony, put an amazing cast together.
Yeah, I'm looking at Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henson, Gabrielle Union, Chris Brown, Wendy Williams. Like I said, when you like, okay, I want to do this movie, got Steve Harvey's blessing, studios have signed on. Now, how do you start to go about the cast?
You got to get a good script, right? We had a script, and then it was who can be in it, who can bring this to life. First person I wanted was Kevin Hart.
Okay.
I knew. Similarly, Hollywood wasn't checking for Kevin at that time, but similarly to the way I knew about Steve's book, in places like in Atlanta, right, off the Hollywood grid, all people were talking about was Kevin Hart. They were bootlegging his DVDs like crazy, right? Watching, that's when YouTube was just starting to really pop. Watching his videos and his stuff over and over. And I would watch my kids watching Kevin. I was like, this dude is having a moment, but it's not like he's selling so many, units of his comedy special.
Right.
So Hollywood doesn't really know how hot he is right now.
Right.
He was one of the first people I went after. Ran into him at the airport. I said, brother, I'm making a same thing I did this. I said, I'm making a movie. He knew a couple of my movies before, but we didn't really know each other. I said, give me a shot. Let me work with you to make this movie. I want you to star in my new movie that I'm making based on Steve Harvey's book. He said, I'm in. And he gave me that chance, right? Because at that time, Hollywood wasn't coming after him, but he was hot in the streets, so to speak. I made that move. I said, I got you. Put him in the middle. And then it was about how do we put a great ensemble cast around. I'm so proud of that cast, man. You talk about Gabby, and you talk about Taraji, you talk about Regina Hall, you know, talk about Michael Ealy and Romany Malco and Terrence J. Terrence J got that role. He wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. He showed up at the table read. I didn't have anybody cast for that role. We were reading it, right? You do a table read. Everybody sits around and actually acts out the script while you're reading it.
Right.
And Terrence J came in. I said, listen, I don't know that I can get you in this movie, but sit in for this part of Regina Hall's love interest in the table read. He was so prepared. He had studied so hard. He came in, everybody else was reading their scripts. Terrence J didn't need a script because he had memorized the whole thing. He knew all his lines. He was completely off book, we call it, and he was acting his ass off in that table read, and that's how he got the role.
Wow.
He was willing to do what it took.
You also work with Oprah. How's it working with Oprah? Because it's Oprah.
Yeah.
It's Oprah. It's like,
Yeah.
like there's certain people, like when you got to go by one name, Oprah,
Yeah.
Denzel,
Yeah.
Sam.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying? So
Yes. Period. Yes.
And she's, I read here, she said, hey, don't have me looking crazy.
She did. She did. She did. I went to Promised Land. That's Oprah's estate.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got invited. I got called up to the estate. I went to Promised Land, and I pitched her, you know, my show ideas for her network, for her own network.
Right.
And one of the ones I pitched was this dating show called Ready to Love.
Right.
And she liked it. I said, listen, Oprah, one of the things the dating reality scene is missing is a show where you have grown folks, adults, right, who are not in their 20s. In your 20s, you don't really know what you're looking for anyway.
Right.
I said, let's do a show for people in their 30s and 40s.
Correct.
Who have experienced some things, lived some life, maybe they were divorced, maybe they have kids. And also, by the way, African Americans. That's not a viewpoint that you typically see. She loved it, but she definitely said, listen now, you know, I ain't done a lot of this reality TV, Will.
Right.
It's my name all over. Don't have me looking crazy.
Yeah.
She told me that right there at Promised Land. I said, oh, Queen, I got you.
Yeah, she said she didn't want black people, she wanted black people done right.
That
she
is
didn't want the true, no mess, no negative stereotype.
That is correct. She's serious about that because her name is on it. You
Yes.
know? It's also who she is.
Right. Tyler Perry.
Yeah, man.
He was one of the first. I mean, he started out with these DVDs. Medea.
The plays.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think I've got every last one of his DVDs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I remember bringing them home and showing them to my sister. My sister laughing. My mom was laughing. My grandmother thought they were hilarious. And he takes Medea and turns it into what it became. And we see what he has become.
Huge.
What's it like? I mean, you shoot at his studio, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've shot at his studio. I've had office at his studio. You know, he's my brother and my friend. You know, what he has done is really changed the game.
Right.
Because before Tyler, there was not a filmmaker that owned a studio outside of Hollywood that Hollywood had to take seriously.
Right.
Black, white, or other. And for him to create, and in Atlanta, he has a studio that is on par with any of the Hollywood studios. Big.
So
I'm talking hundreds of acres.
Right.
If you ain't been there, we got to get you down there to check it out.
I got to check it out because
Yeah.
it's on the old
Army
military.
base. That's
Army,
right.
yeah.
It was an Army base that was not being used, and he took over. The Army base was like 400 plus acres. He has 300 of them
Right.
as his studio. He built it. Everything is top notch, top of the line. And he did that, as you said, off of Medea. Your aunts and family, sister, cousins, y'all, they weren't the only one laughing. He touched a nerve within the black community. People saw themselves and the family members they knew. Everybody had a Medea, an uncle, a crazy
And that's how they
auntie.
talk too.
That's how, and they will. He said, I'm not sugarcoating it.
But
give
you
it to you straight.
You said something, and I heard you said, you know, I realized that I wasn't making movies for the front row. I was making a movie for back there.
Yes.
He's learned that early on.
Yes.
That blacks, okay, that's what I'm making. I'm making movies for them.
Yeah.
They love this. I'm making, and everybody like, man, I'm sure Hollywood at the time didn't take him serious
at all.
But like, ain't nobody gonna a 6'4" man dressing up,
Yep.
and nobody's gonna buy it.
Yes.
And then before they knew it,
Yes.
he was wildfire. He had caught fire.
Yes.
And the blaze was too big to put out.
That's correct.
So now they got to take him serious. Now they want to do business with him.
Absolutely. That's how, like I said, Hollywood calls when you make money without him. He did something that that I admire and that I've done also in my career, which is put people in positions that they haven't seen themselves.
Right.
call it underserved audiences and underserved experiences. And people saw themselves and people they knew on screen in a different way with Tyler's movies and some of my movies as well. And that's an opportunity that traditional Hollywood did not care about until it became profitable.
Right.
They weren't making movies, you know, the Think Like a Man's and Girls Trips and Tyler stuff and some of these other, that wasn't something Hollywood had done frequently.
Right.
Because they didn't see the value in it.
Right.
But you had big audiences that said, we want to see ourselves.
Right.
We want to laugh, cry, and everything in between.
Correct.
And so it's up to filmmakers like myself to go out there and force Hollywood to pay attention by showing that there's an economic viability to that audience. That our audience is one of the most persuasive, loud, influential audiences, and especially Black women.
Right.
That's what they do. And other people follow them because they have to, because they're so loud. They're like, what are they talking about over there? I got to go find it, you know? Girls Trip wouldn't have made the money it made off of just Black people.
Yeah, but they be talking in the movie too, though, Will. Yeah, child, whoa. You not in the bar beauty shop. You can't be doing that.
I can't say nothing because my wife is one of the worst offenders. How the producer's wife gonna be in the movie? I took her to see, there was a movie called Be Quiet. What's the movie? Quiet Place. Quiet Place, the whole point of the movie, Shannon Sharpe, is you have to be quiet or the aliens will hear you and kill you.
Right.
So we in the movie and everybody's nervous on the edge of their seats. You can barely hear the popcorn. Cut to Mrs. Pack. Oh no, don't go, get out of there. Don't go in there. Baby, Jesus Christ, I'm so embarrassed. Babies, hush, what are you saying? No, did you see that? Did you? It's a quiet movie. My wife is a stereotypical Black woman in the movie. I can't take her. I'd be like, baby, we're gonna watch it on streaming.
Idris Elba.
Yeah, man.
He was in a movie. The Beast. Was it The
Beast. Yep.
I saw that.
Running from the lion, shot in South Africa.
I saw that.
Did you check it out?
I did.
Thank you, brother.
I did. I can't say that I was terrible. I was. But see, they did the lion. They did the lion.
Why
role.
you like?
They killed the lion brother. They killed his brother.
Well, they did.
And so he was gonna get that get back.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted his get back.
And by the way, he got a lot of get back. The lion ate like 10 people in the movie. What did you want? You wanted the lion to eat Idris?
That wouldn't get. Yeah, but he could have got one of the kids though.
Oh, Shannon Sharpe. You know what? This is when we do our Packer Sharp productions. We gonna have a lot of meetings because your movie's gonna go dark. Shannon trying to get the kids ate.
Yeah, just one.
You want to eat one of the kids? It was two girls, Shannon. It was a father and two daughters. You want one of the daughters?
Put a boy in there. Yeah.
Okay, you know we're gonna have a meeting before me and you go into producing together. We're gonna have a talk about how dark your movie's gonna be, brother.
Yeah, I mean, Idris, somebody got. I mean, because like Denzel in Training Day.
Yes.
Denzel got killed off in the end.
He did.
And it was beautiful.
He deserved to get killed.
Yeah,
Denzel was the antagonist. Okay, the antagonist in this movie was the lion, not Idris.
He was just trying to defend his family.
Oh Jesus! What time is a production meeting for Packer Sharp Productions? Because we need to have a meeting over here at the end of Club Shay Shay.
His daughter.
Yes.
Actually interviewed for the role. How difficult was it to say, I'm sorry you didn't get it?
It was not easy. Isan is her name, Isan Elba. She's an amazing young actress, and you're gonna be hearing more about her.
Right.
Here's what I'll say.
He didn't really, true that he really didn't want her to like
be in it?
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. I can tell you for a fact, to Idris's credit, he said, I want the best person for the role, right? He wasn't like, you gotta have my daughter. And he wasn't like, I'm not gonna have her because she's my daughter.
Right. Okay.
She went through the same process as everybody else.
Okay.
Came out, auditioned, did callbacks, the whole thing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, there was somebody else for that role.
Right.
That was better. Idris accepted it. I called her myself because I've known Isan for years. Me and Idris go back, right? So I've known her, and as I said, she's a talented young actress.
Right.
She's very mature about it. She was disappointed, obviously, but she worked and earned that. I will tell you, it is somebody else who's like that is Ice Cube. A lot of people think that O'Shea just got the role in Straight Outta Compton because he was Cube's son.
Yeah.
Had audition, callbacks, had to beat out people, like had to work hard. One thing I will say is that those are two people, Idris and Cube, who they're not giving anything to them because they want them to be stronger for it. You know, some of that's cultural too, right? Our parents say you got to work for it.
Right.
I want you to have it, but you're going to be stronger if you have to work for it. And that's what happened with Idris.
But I don't know who else could have played Q because O'Shea looked just like his dad. He put that curl on it.
Yeah.
You produce Obsessed with Beyonce and Idris.
Yeah.
Would you like to do another movie with Beyonce?
For sure. Absolutely. You know, she did the Oscars. She doesn't do the Oscars.
Yeah.
That's not her thing.
Right.
And it was really only because of the relationship that I had with herself, my producing partner, Shayla Cowan. We called her and, and B made it very clear. The only reason I'm opening the Oscars is because of you. So it's that relationship. I would work with her in a heartbeat.
Right.
You want to talk about work ethic?
Yeah.
You're not going to outwork B. You are not going to outwork Beyonce. Whatever it is she's doing, she goes 1,000%. She has earned her position, rightfully so, because she outworks everybody. She's extremely talented.
She is.
She has all the good. She has the skill set. She has the look, the sound. She has all of that. But none of that would matter if she didn't work as hard as she did. Right. So she has a lot of fans. I don't mean fandom. I mean people like me that are advocates for her within the industry because we know how hard she works and she always delivers. You
work with Neil Long and Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
And obviously we know what transpired her relationship.
Yep.
Have you spoken to Nia?
I sent her no. I haven't spoken with her. Mm-hmm. I wanted to definitely give her some time. She and I are good. We're close. I've known her for years. Mm-hmm. Obviously, know Ime through her. And you just keep somebody like that in your prayers. You know what I'm saying? You let that be a personal thing. I think he will ultimately land on his feet and they'll figure out what they're gonna do.
Right. Is there somebody that you haven't worked with that you like to work with?
A lot. I haven't worked with Denz. You mentioned Denzel.
Okay.
Put
it out there, manifest it. See, Sam Jackson. Put it out there. We're gonna make it manifest that.
Yeah. I know. And by the way, big supporters. Like it's all love. Like when I see them, they like, hey brother, we see you.
Yeah.
We see you doing your thing. Keep going.
Right.
Very encouraging. So Sam and I got close a couple times, but it just hadn't happened yet. So it'll happen when it's right.
I mean, it's kind of like. I look at like Denzel, and I've met him. His son used to work out in Savannah. Atlanta. He trained with our trainer. We worked out together. But Denzel seems mythical.
Yeah.
I mean, that voice and the enunciation and the cadence.
Yeah.
He don't miss. He don't miss.
Nope. It ain't a bad Denzel role.
Bad Denzel.
It's not. You may not like the movie, but Denzel did his thing in that movie.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
From Glory, they filmed Glory in Savannah. We had a lot of people that went out there and was extra in Glory.
Yep.
And then
That's the one that put him on the
Cry
map.
Freedom.
Yes.
With Bantu Stephen Biko.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. You know one of the movies that I like that don't get a whole lot of credit?
What?
I like Devil in Blue Dress.
Yeah.
I like
Walter Mosley book. Yeah.
Harlem Blues.
Yeah.
I mean, but like you said, Denzel can't miss.
No, he can't.
He got me from Malcolm X.
You like the old school, I see.
Yeah, man.
You're old soul,
I
man. You like the
Training Day was great.
What about John Q?
Man, I love John Q.
That's one of his underrated classics.
Like I said, I mean, what movie did we say? Oh man, Denzel was. What movie can we say? Oh man, Denzel was bad in that movie.
You're not gonna see it because he takes it very seriously.
But he'd be on it.
He gonna come hard.
Fences.
Yep. Absolutely. No, he's a legend. Let's just give it to him. I mean, that's the GOAT if there's such a thing. You know what I mean? When you talk about acting, black or white, right? On any Martin Luther, he can stand on 10 toes
but
down.
I think Devil in Blue Dress is probably the only movie. Man on Fire, Courage Under Fire, Courage Under Fire. Hurricane. I mean, it's like I think for me, Malcolm X was the movie.
Really?
Because he looked like him.
Yeah.
He spoke like him. The enunciation, the phonetic, and the cadence in which he spoke.
Yes.
Man, he played that part. How he did not win the Academy Award for that?
Well,
Back then, but we already know. But anyway, we're going to move right along.
I was going to say, how deep you want to get into that Academy Award and what should and shouldn't have happened?
Okay. I'm looking at Girls Trip. Girls Trip 2, you shot the first one for about $12, $19 million. Obviously, the budget will be a lot bigger this time. Where are they going now? They went to New Orleans. So where are they going now?
We trying to figure it out, man. I'm open to suggestions. What you think with this Packer Sharpe? First of all, you probably want to kill everybody.
No, don't kill nobody. No, girls, they go to Miami.
Yeah.
They go to the Dominican.
Okay.
They go to Jamaica.
Yes.
Where else they go?
Is Dominican really that popular with the ladies, though?
I
know the fellas go to Dominican all the time.
Why you think they going?
Well, Golf.
No, okay, let you tell it. Ain't nobody
Weather.
going to do that. I ain't never heard of no golf course in the Dominican Republic.
Good paddle boarding.
You know what? I would have keep my show, so I would let him.
At Shannon Sharpe with an E on it.
Yeah. I mean that's what I'm thinking. I mean, where else they go?
We gotta go somewhere.
Miami.
Yeah, but y'all could do better than that. You don't think?
So you got to be. So
We don't want to go exotic. I'm telling you, we having a session right now. Dominican is good.
They go.
I just don't know if that's like when you talk about girlfriends and they say, okay, we're gonna do a girlfriend's trip. Where do we most want to go? Is DR on that list? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jamaica.
Okay. You spent a lot of time in DR?
No. No.
You broke up. Your voice got real high on that answer.
I have not.
You there?
No, I've never been to the DR. I've never been to the DR.
Why are you stuttering?
No, I haven't.
You've never been to the Dominican Republic?
I have not.
Seriously?
Nope.
Really?
Never been to Jamaica.
What?
Nope.
Oh, we got to get you in the Caribbean.
Nah.
Come on, Unc, what you doing? What's wrong with the Caribbean?
I'm trying.
They got great pina coladas.
I'm trying to get and stay in a relationship. That's what I'm trying to do. And the Dominican is not going to help that. I see you not trying to help my cause. You produced the Oscars.
I did.
And that moment happened. When did you think, like when Chris Rock said the joke, and then as Will got up, did you think it would go the way it went? And when it happened, what went through your mind?
So when you do a big live show like that,
yes,
you have many rehearsals, okay? You do the whole show.
Yes.
And you run it through multiple times.
Yes, I know, yeah.
It's live, you want very little room for error, so you rehearse every aspect of the show. So we had done Chris's part of the show, right? In there on the stage, he had done his monologue, his little, his jokes. He had a section already worked out. And when he got up, almost immediately, he was off book from the monologue that we had rehearsed, right? And so I didn't think much of it at all because it's Rock.
Right.
So if it's anybody you want to go off book, it's Rock.
Right.
You know he got this. He gonna play to the crowd. When he made the joke, the first thing that the director did was pan to Jada.
No question. Right.
And when Jada made that face that clearly said, I am not amused and this is not funny to me,
right,
I cringed. I immediately went, ugh. Because if she had kind of laughed at it,
right,
it still would have been kind of a, okay, right, Rock, you're going there. But if she laughed at it, we would have just kept it moving.
Right.
When she made that face, I said, ooh, okay. I said, all right, Rock, bring it back. This is me. I'm in the back.
You said you're not in his ear, but you said
I'm not in his ear. He's not.
He don't have to hear.
I'm in my director's ear.
Right.
And we're talking to our camera people because we're trying to decide where to go. Meaning with the camera.
Right.
So I said, oh, bring it back. Come on, Rock. Bring it back. All right, Then you see Will starting to come towards the stage.
Right.
When I tell you nobody in that room knew what was about to happen other than Will, and I'm not even sure Will knew what was about to happen when he stood up.
Right.
So no, I did not know. And when he got up, I wasn't sure that it had actually been a slap.
Right.
I thought this was some kind of a bad joke that the two of them had put together.
Went on. Yeah.
But it wasn't that funny, so I said, okay, well, you got to clean this up.
Right.
Y'all got to bring it back or make a joke or something. Right. And it wasn't until Will got back in the seat and he started yelling what he yelled to the stage that we all knew, oh, this real. We got a problem.
Did you ever think about fade to black?
Here's the thing. It's a good question. I've been asked that, right? So here's what happened. When you're doing live television, you are literally, it's like a tennis match. You're following the ball. That's what you do. Yep. So he made the joke. We cut to Jada because it was about Jada. We had cameras all through the audience.
Right.
Will went on stage. We still did not know it was serious until Will started yelling what he was yelling. Right. We're covering him because that's what you do. You're following it. You don't want to miss the joke if it's some kind of a joke.
Right.
Once we realized that he was dead serious about it, we had nowhere to cut to. Okay. We're in the middle of presenting the award for documentary, which Questlove ended up winning. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anywhere to go but to follow the action in that room. right? And it happened so fast that we didn't know, okay, we need to fade to black, go to commercial.
Right.
No, it was like, okay, how do we get out of this?
Right.
All we could do at that point was follow the action. I didn't have, some people ask, why didn't you cut to somebody else in the room, get off of Will? I'd have a person in that room I could cut to because everybody's faces was
Right.
shocked, aghast.
Right.
Right? So
Did they know it was for real? Because you said you thought it was a joke.
none of us knew it was for real until Will got back to his seat and started saying,
You started yelling, I told you to leave my...
that is correct. At that point, it was clear this ain't a joke. He's serious. We could tell by Chris' reaction. By the way, Chris saved the rest of the show. I know. I already know what you about to, because you know what y'all about to get right now in Club Shay Shay? Y'all about to get you better be glad it wasn't me. That's what you about to get from Shannon Sharpe. You about to get what would have happened if you was up there?
Chris is the ultimate, first of all, Will, you and I both know.
Ain't nobody running up?
He'd have never done that. Now, I don't want Will Smith canceled, but I felt that there are a lot of people that's made jokes about Jada. I didn't think it was such an egregious joke that warranted that type of reaction. That's not my wife, so I can't, maybe somebody said, if I'm married and somebody said something, but I think this was a buildup. That joke wasn't what caused that. There's a buildup that people have been taking and saying things about Will. How he the first guy to win a Grammy for rap? How he the first guy to do, and it kept building, and it reached that crescendo that night. I hate that it reached that crescendo that night because that was his night. And unfortunately, his night's gonna be overshadowed for perpetuity for that incident.
That is correct. That is correct. It will always be remembered by that. I also hate it because it was a good show.
It was great.
I'm just gonna tell you. And I did it. Me, Shayla, we made the show. I'm proud of it. But even if I didn't, we had more people watch that show than had in years. My goal was to reverse the trend of the ratings going down. And we did outside of the slap.
I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't gonna watch it. I just tuned in. And it just happened when I tuned in. That happened.
You tuned in for the slap?
No.
You was supposed to watch. I had Beyonce, I had Megan Thee Stallion. Come on, I had a good show for you.
I know, but
why did you not watch the show?
I wasn't gonna watch the whole show. But then after he did that, I was like, well, Chris Rock gonna get some get back.
Let me see
so
what's
let
gonna
me see
happen.
go get that get back. You know, we gotta get back. You steal me, I gotta steal you back.
Chris left. Chris left immediately. He didn't want no parts of it. He got off stage. I went back, talked to him, had a conversation.
He probably said, I can't believe that you know what did that.
He said, man, I'm out of here. He said, this was stupid. He said, I'm out. I said, you sure? You good? What you want me to do? He was like, man, he was on his way to Guy Fieri's after party. He said, man, I'm about to go get me a drink. This is stupid. He was so kind of disgusted with it all. He just wanted to get out.
Right. Did you talk to Will after the show? Did you talk to?
I talked to everybody. He was very remorseful. Still is. Very remorseful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he felt very bad. He had a personal conversation with me because this was the first Oscars that was produced by an all-black producer.
Yes.
This is the first time in Oscars history.
Yes. Everything was black. Catering service was black.
The catering service.
Y'all had mac and cheese, everything was black.
We had black conductors.
Yeah.
The people that were bringing out the Oscars for HBCU.
Y'all gave them the black church fans.
Come on, man. I had D-Nice spinning. We're going to have some flavor now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It was a good show. I'm proud of the show. I wanted to have representation you don't normally see on that stage. I hate that ultimately that night where we had so much black excellence.
Yes.
And just diverse excellence.
Right.
I don't care if you're talking about blacks, Latinos, deaf, the first deaf actor to win an award, win an Oscar.
Yeah.
All of that I'm very, very proud of. First non-binary queer actress, Ariana DeBose. At the end of the day, I think the show, of course that is something that'll be remembered by, but I'm very proud of the substance of the show. And a lot of people tuned in, even though you didn't help. Thank you.
I did. I watched.
You did not. You watched too late.
No.
If you tune in with the slap, the ratings are already in. The slap was too late.
What?
I'm telling you, I went up 60% before the slap.
Oh.
By the time you get there, that was in the third hour of the show.
But
what were you watching on Sunday night other than the Oscars? In February, football went on. What was you doing?
I don't remember.
Huh?
I don't remember.
See? You was probably planning that trip to DR. That's the problem. If you stick with me.
But I got it. I said, oh, yeah. I said, now I got to stay. Now I can't leave. Now.
You got to see what's going to happen.
So, you know how people watch television. They watch television increments. Okay, I watch a little bit. I flip to something else. I come back. I flip to... But once I saw that, I couldn't leave.
You had to see what was going to happen.
I hope they don't cut the break. Because if they cut the break, I might miss something. They won't be able to get that. Will, I appreciate it,
my brother. Come
much
on,
success,
man.
much love. I appreciate everything you do.
Right
Thanks
back
for giving me a couple of minutes.
Come on, man. Anytime, brother.
Thank you.
all my life. Been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why